Hi, Jim.
Hey,
Can you introduce yourself quickly?
yeah, my name is Jim Slider. I currently teach at Tsinghua University, and I teach many different courses, including oral spoken English, PhD English, creative writing, among others.
And where are you from originally?
I'm from Pennsylvania. That's a state in the United States, and I've been living in China for 2.5 years.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
So today we're going to talk a little bit just about food in different areas, food culture, food etiquette, food related topics.
Okay.
So how about we start with your hometown of Pennsylvania? What kind of foods are popular in Pennsylvania? What's something special to that region?
Well, I couldn't talk about food in Pennsylvania without talking about cheesesteaks.
Hmm.
It's probably the most popular item throughout Pennsylvania. Basically, what a cheesesteak is it's kind of a long sandwich, and in the sandwich you put chopped up steak, which is a kind of beef, and then you put cheese over the beef and you melt it, and then maybe you put some mayonnaise or onions on it, and it's very popular, especially in the city of Philadelphia, which is the largest city in Pennsylvania. Um, Now, when you go over to Pittsburgh, a popular food item there would be called the pierogi.
Hmm.
And basically, a pierogi is kind of like a dumpling, except in the pierogi, you put potatoes and cream cheese, and then you bake it, and it's a very delicious food item. Where I'm
And sorry, the pierogi is originally Hungarian, is it?
Hungarian or Polish.
Polish?
So it's somewhere from Eastern Europe. But then when immigrants came from Eastern Europe over to Pennsylvania, they brought a lot of their food over. And
Hmm.
that's why we enjoy them today.
Oh, good.
Hmm.
So about the cheesesteak, are there any specific ingredients that you have to use? Is there anything that you must do, or can you do whatever you want?
All right. So the thing is, some people take cheesesteaks very seriously in Pennsylvania. And these people would say you can only use chopped beef, onions, and cheese whiz, which is a type of processed cheese or cheap cheese. And they say you can only use those ingredients in a cheesesteak. Now, obviously, there are variations with that. Some people like to eat a pizza cheesesteak, which is it sort of uses tomato sauce, onions, lettuce, tomatoes, but people would say that that's not a real cheesesteak.
Mm.
But still, both are very delicious.
Okay. So we recently, it's just past Christmas now.
Mm.
What are some Christmas-related food traditions in the United States or in Pennsylvania?
Well, usually with Christmas, we eat a lot of the same food items that we would at Thanksgiving.
Hmm.
And that would include a turkey, which is sort of a great big fat bird that's very delicious. We would eat mashed potatoes. We would eat stuffing, which is made with bread and other spices mixed together. We would eat cranberry sauce, which is it's sort of like a jello made from the cranberry, which is a type of fruit. And we would usually drink wine or beer. But if we have small children with us, we obviously don't give them wine or beer. We give them
Hmm.
Coca-Cola instead. But we like to eat a lot, and it's a sort of a special time for us to get together and celebrate.
Okay. So, Jim, you've traveled to many different countries and you've lived in a few different countries. Are there any food traditions or special foods that you tried in different places that you
Mhm.
really enjoyed?
Well, I'll start with China since I've lived here for 2.5 years
Okay.
and I've traveled all over China. I'll start with the Northeast since I lived there for a year. One food that really stands out to me in the Northeast is called guobao. I'll describe it in English. It's
Hmm.
sort of like fried pork with sweet sauce on top, and it's really delicious, especially in winter. Also, the dumplings in Northeast China are very delicious as well. Moving down to Beijing, obviously I have to talk about roast duck. It's sort of famous in Beijing, and you can put it in a wrap, roll it up, and eat it like that. For other areas in China, I'll have to go down to Sichuan. Um, I especially like Gong Bao Jiding there, or as we call it in America, Kung Pao chicken. The difference, though, in America is that Kung Pao chicken is not spicy at all. Typically, we'll put peppers and onions with the chicken and cook it together, but we don't really put hot spices in it. So the first time I came to Chengdu in Sichuan province, I ordered a plate of Kung Pao chicken. I took a big bite, and it was too hot for me. I had to drink many glasses of water after it, so that was quite a surprise. Other areas in China that have good food, I would say includes Suzhou,
Hmm.
because in Suzhou they have a type of fried fish with a sweet sauce on top that's very delicious. And also near Guangzhou, they have dim sum, which are many delicious fried foods together.
Hmm. So how about some places outside of China? Where have you traveled, and what is the food like in those places?
Mm. I've traveled to several different countries around China, so I guess I'll start with South Korea.
Hmm.
In South Korea, the food item that really stood out to me was called bulgogi, and it's a type of meat that's cooked in a sweet sauce, and you can eat it with many different food items. Also, kimchi,
Hmm.
which is a type of spicy lettuce, I'll say, and obviously the fish there is very good as well. Moving down, I'll talk about the Philippines. I spent a month there, and I was really happy with all the food there. Uh, they typically like to eat a lot of pork. That comes from a pig, obviously. And I was at a party where they roasted an entire pig with an apple in its mouth, and I thought it was very funny. Um, they also eat a lot of rice with everything there. So, moving on, uh, in Thailand, they like to eat many spicy things there, including curries, which is a type of sauce with rice mixed together. They also eat a lot of fish, and I ate a dish called red snapper, which is a red fish with many different spices mixed together. And obviously, because Thailand is a tropical and hot country, I ate a lot of coconuts and pineapples
Hmm.
while I was there, and they were all very delicious.
Yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Okay, so Jim, we've been talking about all these exotic foods from different countries, but how about just the regular American college student? What
College
kinds of
student.
things do college students eat every day?
Well, as we know, college students don't have a lot of money,
Hmm.
so usually American college students need to buy cheap food items. Um, Obviously, the one of the most popular foods that we eat in America are hot dogs.
Okay.
And hot dogs are very cheap, so typically students will put money together, buy great big packages of hot dogs, and then cook them all in a big pot or outdoors on a barbecue. And then we'll put some mustard on them, put them in a bread bun, and eat as many as we can. Sometimes I'm able to eat 8 hot dogs in a row if I'm very hungry. Also, American college students eat a lot of hamburgers, which a lot of Americans do as well.
Hmm.
And we usually like to put onions and ketchup on our hamburgers and eat it like that. Um,
How about some popular restaurants, fast food restaurants, or
mhm.
restaurants that college students might often go to?
Obviously, one of the most popular fast food restaurants in America is McDonald's.
Hmm.
So, college students will usually go to a McDonald's at any time of day or night because many restaurants are open 24/7. So, they will go to McDonald's and get a couple of hamburgers, some French fries, and a big glass of Coca-Cola to go with it. Another popular restaurant would be Arby's. And Arby's is a very American restaurant, and they serve roast beef sandwiches, which is chopped up beef put inside a bun and smothered with cheese. So obviously, it's not very healthy, but it is very delicious.
Are there any restaurants that are specific to Pennsylvania that maybe you can't find in other places in the United States?
In the region, we have Wawa, and Wawa is actually a gas station, but it has a restaurant attached to it. And when you go into Wawa, you can order different cheesesteaks and hoagies. And the word hoagie is actually only used in Pennsylvania, but it refers to any type of long sandwich that you can fill with many different meats or vegetables. So usually Pennsylvanians will go to a Wawa if it's very late at night and they're feeling very hungry.
Is a hoagie the same thing as a sub sandwich?
Yes, in America, we have many different terms for this type of sandwich. You can call it a hoagie, a submarine sandwich. You can call it a grinder or a poor boy or any number of names. So it really depends on where in America you're from.
But this is just a long sandwich filled with lots of meat and vegetables.
Yes, so it's not very complicated, but the name can be very
Hmm.
complicated depending on where you're from.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So we've talked about food quite a bit, but today you've brought something with you. Would you like to talk about that a little
Sure.
bit, please?
So here we have a bottle of wine. And you can see from the words that this bottle of wine is from France.
Hmm.
So France is known for its wine all throughout the world. And we call this red wine because obviously the color is red. And so if I were to drink this, I'd expect it to be both sweet and bitter at the same time.
So how about alcohol culture in the
Hmm.
United States? What is popular there? What are some drinks that are made in the United States, and what are some drinks that are popular in the United States?
Well, I'd say that beer would be the most popular alcoholic drink to drink in the United States. And especially in Pennsylvania, we have many different beer companies. And the most popular beer company in Pennsylvania is called Yingling.
Hmm.
And this company is just outside Philadelphia, but you can find Yingling beer anywhere across the east coast of the United States. Other popular beer brands would include Budweiser, Miller, Coors, or Busch beer. But also, Americans drink international beers as well, and those would include Heineken, uh, different German beers, and sometimes even Yanjing beer, which you can find in China.
Hmm.
You can find those in some Chinese special stores in the United States.
How about wine? Is wine produced in the United States?
Actually, in California, there are many different vineyards that produce some really fantastic wines. So even though the rest of the world might say that America does not produce many good wines, I'd say that California probably produces one of the best wines in the world.
And what are the traditions or rules or laws about drinking in the United States?
It really depends on which state you're from. So I'll talk about Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, you cannot buy alcohol on a Sunday, and that's from very old laws in which many people would go to church on a Sunday. And so, even though many people in America today do not go to church, those laws still remain.
Hmm.
Also, in Pennsylvania, you cannot buy alcohol at a normal convenience store. What you need to do is you need to go to a restaurant, and a restaurant, if it has a license, can sell you alcohol. So what many convenience stores do is they will have a special restaurant section in order to be able to sell alcohol.
So you can't go to the supermarket and buy alcohol there?
If it has a restaurant in the supermarket, you could. Otherwise, you would have to go to a special alcohol
Hmm.
store or to a beer store in which you could buy great big cases of beer but you cannot buy individual beers at that beer store. It's very complicated, I know.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your explanation of food and the United States and all these places you visited. We've
Mm.
also talked a little bit about alcohol in the United States, and I think our audience will be very interested to know about your experiences and about the things you've told us today. So thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Glenn.